What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pure Positivity, where we talk about the relationship that we have with our pets. My name is Bobby. I got my lovely wife, Eden, here. We have our Chi-Chis around here. We got Rosa down underneath, but we got the star of the show, Carlito! Yes, sir! And, of course, we have our Australian Shepherd and our black Bengal cat in the background. Sometimes you'll see them in and out. But we have a really special show here today. We're sitting down with Ethan Pompeo, the founder of Green Valley Nutrition. It's a company that hasn't just redefined the CBD space, but they're doing it from a place of personal healing, integrity, and connection. His journey with going through PANDAS, which we'll talk about, it's a deeply misunderstood condition, has led him to a path of self-healing and helping others. And so we're really excited for this because he's all about humans and dogs alike. Ethan's story reminds us of how you can kind of connect the dots, right? So Ethan, welcome to the show today.
Hey, thanks so much, man. I'm excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, man. Let's just hop right in here. You have a super interesting origin story. So I'd love for you to share with us and then kind of like just talk about what was the moment that this kind of like was birthed with Green Valley Nutrition.
Yeah, it all stemmed from PANDAS. As a kid, I was relatively normal, healthy young man, and about the age of 13, I started to experience a barrage of neurological symptoms like motor tics, loss of motor function, OCD, anxiety, cascade of other associated symptoms, anger issues, and frustration surrounding everything I was dealing with. And for a long time, we did not know what was happening. Didn't know why. I was misdiagnosed with Tourette's syndrome as a young man, and it didn't really give me any clear path forward. We didn't know what caused it. We didn't know how to deal with it or cure it. So I went about a decade without even having a clear picture of what was going on in my life. Fast forward to today, I found many holistic ways to manage the condition and have an awesome quality of life. And that's what it's all about for me. It's just sharing what I've learned and passing that along to whoever needs to hear it, or one, to give them hope, or two, to kind of give them a direction where they can take their life in order to experience healing for themselves as well.
Yeah, that's a really awesome story. I mean, other than the fact that you had to go through trauma to get there, but super happy to hear you have, completely healed yourself through holistic and the ways of going about it instead of having to go down the traditional medical in America path. PANDAS, if you guys don't know, I don't know a whole lot about it. We're going to get a little bit more information from our friend here, but Pediatric Autoimmune Neuropsychiatric Disorders associated with Streptococcal Infections. Quite the name. It sounds very intimidating, right? So
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. Can you kind of just go through a little bit of like, I know you talked about your experience with it, but it's so misunderstood, one, and then it's also misdiagnosed or not underdiagnosed rather.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive to put a bacterial infection in the same category as like all these neurological symptoms. So it can be quite difficult to diagnose, especially if your medical provider is not like well versed in this connection between infection and neuropsychiatric disorders. And so when I talk about PANDAS, people, their eyes get all wide, like, oh wow, yeah, that's a lot. But essentially what it is it's a strep throat infection that causes an unusual autoimmune response. And antibodies are one of the few compounds that can cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning, when your body produces antibodies in excess, which is characteristic of PANDAS, you end up with an autoimmune compound that is hanging out in an area of the body where it's not supposed to, the brain. And so what happens is, with PANDAS, you get autoimmune encephalitis, which is brain inflammation caused by your body's own immune system. Now, your immune system is your front line of defense against foreign pathogens, bacteria, all these things. It's essential for everything we do, just staying alive from day to day. But when it backfires on you like that and causes inflammation in your brain, now you're looking at a big problem.
Yeah.
And so the symptoms can be very severe, and they can vary dramatically depending on how your brain responds to it. So many of the symptoms are related to OCD, obsessions, compulsions, the tics, the tremors, all these symptoms that I experienced. But what comes along with that are the mental and neuropsychiatric issues that accompany these symptoms, which are like kind of secondary symptoms. But for me, I remember just so much frustration and anger and just self-consciousness that came with all this stuff that made it very difficult as a teenager. By the time I was 17 years old, I'd been on and off over 40 different prescription meds, just trying to find something that worked and that helped me. And of course, none of it did the trick. A lot of the times these side effects outweighed any of the benefits I got from these meds. So it was a discouraging place to be for a long time. And this was almost 20 years ago. Back then, my parents scoured the internet and the library for any kind of resources or books to figure out what was going on. But first of all, we had a misdiagnosis. We were like we were looking down the wrong avenue to begin with, kind of pointed in the wrong direction by the initial doctors we visited. That didn't help. And then there was really no information on PANDAS at all at the time. So a lot's changed, fortunately. I've spoken with people recently who have been diagnosed in as little as 4 days correctly with PANDAS that got that pathway to healing early on, which is fantastic. I mean, it means that the advocacy and awareness work we're doing is making a difference and helping people. But the big turning point for me was getting that PANDAS diagnosis and realizing that PANDAS is what I was dealing with, because beforehand we were essentially just trying to mask the symptoms with drugs and just kind of get through life. It's not a real pathway to healing at all.
Yeah.
But after understanding what PANDAS is, now we can target the inflammation, we can target the source of infection, and actually treat those specific issues in order to heal naturally.
That's huge. And I mean, I'm sorry that you had to go through all that, especially back when, things were a little bit even more misunderstood. But what you're doing to bring this out to the public is the best thing that we can do, right? To advocate for something and educate and awareness. We talk a lot about the symptom problem that we have, and especially in Western medicine and Western society, is we love to treat symptoms, but we don't ever really get to the actual problem. So I actually have learned about this thing that's really simple, but it's at the 5 whys. So if you can ask why 5 times, you can kind of get down that rabbit hole of just what is the actual problem, right? Instead of just being oh, why do I have this? Well, maybe it's because I have ADHD, which, I've overdiagnosed and things like that.
Right.
So it's wild to have to go down that path. And it took until your 20s for you to get better. I mean, it's just getting that diagnosis was probably just wow, finally I have an idea of what I can do.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it really, at that point in my life, I'd been dealing with this for a decade. I had physician fatigue. I was sick of going to doctors, sick of trying pills and medications. So then, I get this diagnosis. It's kind of just ultimately it led me to a place where I could heal. But I remember after getting the diagnosis, it was kind of just another guess. I've seen so many doctors okay, well, this is weird. PANDAS. It kind of makes sense. PANDAS is a clinical diagnosis, so there's no blood test you could take that says, boom, you have this. Yeah. It involves, looking at your medical history, your history of infection, your symptom load, all these things, blood work, and putting together a comprehensive picture of what you're dealing with and saying, yes, this is a classic case of PANDAS. So you do have to find a doctor who is well versed in this and knowledgeable enough to actually identify it and diagnose it. And then you have to have a treatment protocol that aligns with, everything we've been talking about. So first of all, it's often still treated with drugs and other more invasive therapies, which at that point in my life, I was not really willing to try anymore. However, lifestyle change has been incredibly effective for me. And we can talk about how I got to that point, but when you deal with any kind of chronic illness or disability, it's often common to be stuck, being at a point where you're maybe hopeless or you feel like you physically can't get up and make changes to your life because of all the things you're dealing with. And that was absolutely true of me. I was just trying to get through each day and live as normal a life as I possibly could. And it was out of the question to then kind of reflect on the day at the end and say, what things can I change? What things can I tweak? I was just trying to cope and exist. So I needed some kind of tool to give me a little bit of relief so that I could step back and take a deep breath and refocus and think, all right, what things do I need to change? Like, I need to stop being so sedentary. I need to eat an anti-inflammatory diet. I need to get high quality of sleep. I need to get outside and exercise, get sunshine, eliminate stressors, get rid of negative influences in my life. All these things that we can talk about that really we should all be doing. But for many people, in my case as well, we often wait until we hit a health crisis to actually contemplate that and make those changes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and a lot of people, I know that, like ourselves included, I know that we thought that it was like, when you hear it, it sounds like a cute, cuddly panda bear, It's like, so like the misunderstanding of these things in society. And I mean, and now like what's happening so much with the immune system and the gut-brain axis, these types of things are super misdiagnosed, like pandas is. What do you wish that more people understood about these types of things?
Yeah, so I was every year we have a 5K fundraiser for pandas awareness, advocacy, and research. We just had it a couple weeks ago in Washington, D.C. Great event, fantastic time. I mean, there were physicians all around the United States and even from the UK who flew in and spoke and talked about this. And it's just really cool to see, again, the difference that this advocacy is making. And why I appreciate you bringing me onto your show and just spreading this message and awareness. It makes a difference. It makes a big impact in people's lives. But one thing that really stuck out to me is one of these research physicians had said that pandas is the canary in the coal mine with regards to the connection between infection and neuropsychiatric disorders. And what they're finding is it's not just pandas where you have a bacterial infection that causes encephalitis and neurological issues. We're finding that there's links between infection and psychosis and schizophrenia and all of these chronic neuro diseases that we don't know the cause. We don't know how to treat it or cure it. It's just like a death sentence, basically, something you have to deal with and maybe take meds to help for the rest of your life, right? We're really, based on what we know about pandas and what we've uncovered, we're finding that there's similarities between many other neuropsychiatric illnesses and this history of infection that goes untreated and the improper autoimmune response of our bodies. And so the question that begs is, why are our bodies responding inappropriately to these infections? Strep throat should be something that, you have an itchy throat, you cough, you're sick for a week or so, and then it goes away. So why are so many people now responding in this unusual way that turns into a chronic disease, a debilitating disease? It's fascinating, and we don't have those answers yet. But I'm excited to see what we can uncover in the coming years.
Yeah, me too. I know that, like, a little bit about with pandas, there's the inflammation in the brain comes from the basal ganglia, which is pretty much where all these types of things can come from, the neurological discomfort and stuff like that. And then with that said, that could be a number of things, like you were talking about, psychiatric problems that get misdiagnosed. And then also like the backlash, like you were talking about being a teenager with this, is that you're not normal, right? Or you can get made fun of or this and that. And those can create other problems, and it can just become a web.
Yeah, it definitely crippled me and for a while. I was always super outgoing, personable, easy to talk to, and dealing with pandas kind of closed that book for me in a sense. And for a long time, I was reluctant. I did not want to talk about this. And for one thing, like I said, I was just trying to get through my day and pretend like everything was fine when it wasn't, and try to be normal, and I couldn't. And so the last thing I wanted to do is then come home and talk to my parents about it or talk to my family doctor about it. I just wanted to pretend like it wasn't happening. And so I think for me in school, I didn't deal with bullying or really. People poke fun here and there, but it wasn't a big deal, which I'm very fortunate to say. But I will say it was a daily ask for someone to look at me doing my tics and my twitches and say, "Are you okay? Are you genuinely asking, are you okay? Are you having a seizure? What's going on?" And I would just look at them and brush it off and say, yeah, I'm fine. And just kind of go back to what I'm doing. And looking back, I realized that was not helping me. It wasn't helping anybody. Bearing that weight on my shoulders, trying to just pretend like everything's okay. It just put so much pressure on me mentally. It made it so much more difficult than it had to be, compared to just being open and honest about my situation. And it prevented me from actually telling people what this was. It prevented me from connecting with others on a real meaningful level. It prevented me from helping others who may be dealing with similar issues. And so by, transforming my whole perspective on that and being comfortable with who I am, it took that weight off my shoulders. I'm free to be, the person I am, regardless of what state my mind's in. And it also has put me in a position where I can help others and come on your show. And I always say, if there's even one person listening who is dealing with this or knows someone who's dealing with this, who can get some hope or some advice out of what I'm saying, then it's worth it to do. And so that's effectively what I do today, not just with PANDAS, but with many chronic ailments, just offering hope and an alternative solution to deal with those problems that doesn't damage or risk your long-term health or cause unwanted side effects or anything like that. So it's like you said, I've taken this big life challenge and this issue that I've faced for most of my life and turned it into a way of actually helping others and providing real long-term solutions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's got to feel very lonely for anybody that is going through all this. And I know, just talking to you briefly and hearing your story from other of your podcasts, I started thinking about people of my past in my high school years that I feel like had very similar symptoms, but everybody just said it was Tourette's. I don't talk to that person today, but I actually thought about them. I wonder, and now I want to kind of find them and reach out. Hey, do you know about this, or is that an idea that never crossed their mind? Not having the proper diagnosis, or even just hearing about you and knowing there's other people going through it. So it's huge that you're able to break through that barrier and, share your story and do these things with podcasts or, and your business too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for having the courage, man, to really just labels are whatever, it's the diagnosis is important to get to where you are. But there's that, and then just not becoming the victim. None of us want to be the victim of anything, but to talk about it and then be like, this is what I went through. It takes courage. So thank you for being able to do that and help people with it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I've learned, man, is everyone has a disability. And it sounds weird when you say it like that because, when most people think of disability, they think of the kid in the wheelchair or, the person born without their arms or something of that nature. But not all disabilities are visible on the front end. For me, you could see me doing my tics and my twitches, but it wasn't until you kind of got close that you would notice those things. Looking at me from afar or you're walking past me at the airport, you would never know that I was dealing with a disability. Once you got to know me and spent some time around me, it became more apparent and more obvious. I think we all, at a certain point in our life, deal with something like that, whether it be an addiction or a physical issue or a mental health struggle like depression or anxiety. Disability can take so many different forms, but it's these challenges that we face in life it's what makes us who we are. How we respond to these challenges, right? It forces us to grow and become stronger and more compassionate towards others. So yeah, it wasn't fun dealing with this as a kid, but looking back on my life, I see why it was given to me, so to speak, right? I see why it happened. And at the end of the day, I think it did make me a better person who's now able to help others. And, in an ideal world, nobody would have these disabilities or problems, but I don't know. I think that's a big factor of why we're here on Earth is, we're handed these things that we can't control. How do we respond to them? How do we make the world a better place? And I don't know, walking through the fire, that's what I've learned.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you struck a chord. I have a shirt that she got for me it says not all disabilities are visible, because I myself have a disability that people don't understand. They can't see it, and because of that, you get judged, or and it's hard, because these things they're disabling, and you can't do things like a normal human being would do on a regular basis. But like you said, we all have something. If we could all stop for 1 second and maybe put ourselves in another person's shoes and realize that we all have a different story and a different journey, you know? So that was a beautiful thing that you said there.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, it's just a truth that I've learned as I've gotten older, and I did not recognize that as a teenager. You know, it was like kind of like a why God thing, woe is me. And again, I wasn't helping myself with that mentality.
Yeah.
So, but it's also very difficult to see that when you're in the midst of it. So again, like finding tools and resources and natural pathways to healing that can get you from point A to point B and get you feeling better. It's a lot easier than to look back and be more optimistic about your situation.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, your CBD products are some of the cleanest we've ever seen. So, I mean, minimal ingredients, transparent sourcing. What drives that level of purity, and how do you ensure the quality from soil to shelf?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I really appreciate you saying that. I take great pride in the products we produce, you know, because again, you know, I want to support my family with this business that I'm creating. But at the end of the day, it's all about helping people live better. And if I can do that without giving anyone cancer or getting them sick, like I can sleep well at night, you know? And so it's been a huge blessing to be able to do what I do. And not only that, but these are products that I'm taking every day for my own anti-inflammatory benefits. My wife uses our topical cream on her neck and shoulders to help relieve some pain and inflammation, help her sleep better, wake up feeling refreshed. And so it's something that we're ingesting and putting on our bodies daily. I mean, we want it to be clean just for that reason alone. But then we look at all the people and all the customers that are relying on these products, like it's just the right thing to do. So I take great pride in having products that are clean and trustworthy. And, you know, I want to feel comfortable putting them in my body, that's what I'm offering to other people. And if we rewind a little bit, when I first got started in this was back in 2015 when I first started, you know, working with CBD and formulating different products, trying out different concentrations and seeing what worked best for me. I noticed that across industry wide, it was very difficult to know who to trust. I mean, pretty much all the CBD out there was like junk. It was being sold by smoke shops, and like there was no vetting or third-party testing or quality control of any kind. It was kind of just like, you know, you make this in your kitchen and throw it out there and like people will buy it. Well, a lot's changed since then. People get in the CBD industry, they think they're going to make hand over fist, you know, like selling drugs on the internet, but like that's not how it works. It's very, very hard work. It's a tough sell to convince someone to try it, especially if they're new. Many people still think CBD is a marijuana product. It's not. Actually, all of my products are 100% THC free. So again, we have the goal of offering this natural relief for people without the risks, without getting high or having to smoke or carry around an illegal substance or deal with long-term health consequences. None of those factors are at play here. This is something that's incredibly safe, trustworthy, and I'll say the number one thing we do to ensure safety and efficacy with our products is third-party lab testing. So if you go to our website, every web page has a little button in the description that says click here to view the lab test results. And everything's third-party test to show, well, one, what's on the label matches what's in the bottle, and two, that it's free of contaminants. There's nothing in there that's potentially going to hurt you or make your problems worse. And that's critical. The supplement industry in general is unregulated. It's not just true of CBD. It's fish oil and vitamin D and calcium and everything you find in the grocery store. You don't know what's in that bottle. I mean, it's sad, but true. Like, and that's what I realized. You look back at the history, and I don't want to go on a tangent here, but like so many of these supplements, good grief, fish oil was the biggest one. You know, big business got into fish oil and they started selling like a triglyceride form of fish oil that made your cardiovascular problems worse from taking it. Like, how could you do that? It's crazy to me. So for me, like, being as close to nature as possible, like keeping simple, clean, organic ingredients. Most of our products have like 2 ingredients in it, like coconut oil and CBD, and that's it. Because there's no reason to add all these flavors and colors and preservatives and junk when nature is already providing everything we need. So that's kind of my outlook on it. And yeah, it works.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, man. That really resonates with us. We're at nature first. I mean, of course, there's times where things, integrative medicines, things like that, but you should always do nature first. And when you say, like the fish oil and things like that, it's a really crazy racket. But true wealth, and in my opinion, everybody wants to be able to make $1 million. But true wealth is like you said, like when you can lay your head down on the pillow at night and shut your ass and truly rest. That's true wealth, in my opinion. And so, like,
you can't buy that.
No, you can't. And then these billionaires think they can. But hey, I love what you're doing with your products, man. I mean, this is your CBD oil here. I've been using this, and I've been taking the pills that you sent as well. They're so clean, and you can tell the difference because I've tried other products on the market and stuff too, and it's like,
it's just so not necessary to add all the fillers and sugars and flavorings and stuff. In fact, your oil just tastes so clean and you don't even taste anything. And I'm like, that's perfect, And I mean, going down for the humans, and then you also have the CBD CB dog.
I love the name too.
Yeah, definitely. Being minimal ingredients, it's going to actually be effective for them. Where I was comparing to another one that his mother has for her dog, because I was giving her dog your tinctures, and I couldn't stand. I'm like, can we just throw this away? Like, I don't care how much it was, because the one that she had like added bacon flavoring and all.
Yeah, I knew it.
And like, the dog doesn't need that, And so it's just like really incredible that you've honed in on this kind of recipe to be so pure, because that's what people need, and it's isolate and all of that. That's just huge. So
yeah,
thank you for caring. It's like, fine. It's, the pet world is not regulated either, so it's very similar with the vitamins and the supplements that we have to deal with. And so it's so we really resonate with what you're doing and what you offer.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it seems silly to add bacon flavor to something that your dog will already love to take.
Exactly.
But, I mean, I could drip the oil right into my dog's mouth. It's MCT coconut oil. They lap it up. It's good for their coats. It's a healthy fat. There's so many other benefits. And then the CBD, we can touch on some of the benefits, but the main two that my customers report with their animals is the mobility issues for older dogs. It just cuts down on that pain and that inflammation. So, I mean, incredible testimonials. Like, their dog won't get up off the couch. He's whining. You give him the CBD, and now he's like up handing you the frisbee. He wants to go play. Like, there's no with the animals, there's no placebo effect. Like, it either works or it doesn't. They don't know that you're giving them a sugar pill. They just know that they feel better, right, from taking it. So a lot of people I've heard, they'll give it to their dog and say, oh man, he's got so much more energy, or he's not scared during this thunderstorm. Like, maybe I should be taking that.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, dogs don't lie. So it makes a big difference. And the fact that there's so many, like you said, CBD products, white labeling and all that, and you've obviously taken a different route. And we love what you've done with the pet line here. So like just 2 ingredients, literally 2 ingredients, guys. He's not kidding. And it's done the right way. So what inspired your pet line, and how do you view the role of pets in our healing journey?
Well, so I started my pet line pretty early on. It was a little bit before the pandemic, but we were reading something, I think it was 2019, Americans have more dogs than children. And that's actually a thing. So I'm looking at my mission of trying to help people and their kids, give them a safe, effective solution that's not like pharmaceutical medication or something toxic. And I'm like, well, more people consider their pets to be their kids these days. It makes sense to offer something for their furry kids. And my wife and I, we have an Australian Shepherd, amazing dog. Like, if you were to have a bumper stickers, like, my dog is an honor roll student, like, that would be our dog. She's so brilliant, super healthy animal. But, I know what that's like. We want our pets to have the best life. You want to give them the best life that you possibly can. And so I look at my friends' dogs who have struggled as they age and as they get older. And, I look at my dog getting anxious after a long ride in the car. And just something as simple as a little dropper of oil in her mouth to make her feel more comfortable and part of the family. I don't know. It makes a big difference on like the whole vibe of everyone in the car, just getting along better. So I think it's important. It's cost effective. It's not something that's going to have any side effects or anything like that. So for me, it's just an obvious solution for those kinds of things that probably many pets could benefit from. And not just dogs, but cats, even equine animals like horses, especially race horses, have inflammatory issues and joint pain and stuff like that. It can help with their healing as well. So it's just a very versatile product.
Yeah, I mean, and all these animals have natural CBD receptors in their bodies.
Yeah.
Including us, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, as far as we know, all mammals have endocannabinoid receptors, which is your body's built-in system to absorb these compounds and put them to work. Now, ideally, if you want to talk about the endocannabinoid system, ideally, your body should be creating these endocannabinoids naturally as part of your body's wellness. But when there's something out of whack, when you're not giving your body proper inputs, that system can get out of balance. And that's when supplementing with phytocannabinoids, the plant-based compounds like CBD, what we're talking about, can be a great benefit to kind of balance out that system, promote homeostasis, and give your body a fighting chance.
Yeah, that's really great. And I mean, so like with your journey, you took something that obviously caused a lot of pain, and you turned it into a platform for healing. What advice would you give to or offer to someone who maybe is still in the dark, is misunderstood, or is just struggling?
Yeah, just never give up. There's unfortunately not everybody heeds that advice. The foundation that I worked with that I mentioned earlier, who helps run this 5K fundraiser we do every year, it's called the Alex Manful Foundation. And Alex Manful is a young lady who took her own life as a result of dealing with pandas and the complications around that. And that's just something that, like, this organization, our mission is to not let that happen to anyone else. It's something that messes with your psyche. It impacts your body, mind, and spirit on a very meaningful level. And it's just really difficult, not only on the patient, but their whole family. Like, my parents were devastated, Their search to try to help me with what I was dealing with took time away from my other siblings, and just the whole family was impacted. And it's just really, really tough. Not just true of pandas, but any disability, right? It's going to take extra time and care to just try to have a normal life. So it's easy to get in the mindset of just isolation and loneliness and depression when you're dealing with these things. And all you want is to be that guy, running outside, enjoying his day. Anyway, never give up, because you might be listening to this and say, oh, it's easy for him to say this now, he's doing so well. But that was not always the case. For 20 years of my life, I was struggling greatly. And the impact of pandas still impacts my life to this day. I still deal with some tics and some OCD and some anxiety related to the inflammation I'm still battling. But the lifestyle changes I've made through supplementing with CBD and other anti-inflammatory compounds, through eating an anti-inflammatory diet, which is you are what you eat, right? Our food is our primary medicine. So you have to take that into account. Weightlifting, getting into an exercise routine, all these things have made such a huge difference in my life. That's why I can go and say, yeah, I'm doing much better now, and here's what I recommend. And so, again, don't give up. It might be difficult now, but walking through these fires are what make us stronger and what position us to make an impact on the world.
That's really great information for anybody out there that might be struggling with anything. You just got to keep going. You just got to get up every day and just get to it.
It's easier said than done. It stinks. Sometimes it really stinks, but then you have a good day and it's all worth it.
Totally, man. And that's those good days. You just have to recognize them when they come, right? And then celebrate the small victories. Well, one of my dear friends, actually, his young child was I think 12 or 13 recently, in the last couple of years, came down with pandas. That's what I mean. He was misdiagnosed, and he got the same type of stuff with the OCD, strong OCD, mood swings, like anger out of nowhere, all this stuff. And so the tough thing, I think a lot of this is because it's on the parents, because this is usually a younger child type of syndrome, if I understand correctly. Yeah. And so like the parents have to continue to search for what the actual problem is. And that can become the issue, because not only is it hard to find a good doctor that will find out what's going on and search, but you also have to recognize that it's not going to be covered by insurance. A lot of the things, a lot of the treatments and stuff. And my friend had to like pawn one of his expensive guitars to be able to pay for some of the like $6,000 treatments. And so not to be discouraging by any means, but these are the things that like the more you know, the better, right? So knowledge is power. And like just they eventually got it to where he's completely free of this now. He's doing wonderful in school and he's back to normal. But like one thing that I remember him saying, my friend, was that basketball was a huge outlet for him. So keeping one that was physical, so keeping him moving, like you were talking, is good for the lymphatic system. And also to keep him mentally stimulated. But the biggest thing that I wanted to get to here was you were talking about diet, and the anti-inflammatory diet is it's just got to be something for all stages of life. Even if you don't have this, it's really something that changes everything.
Yeah, I agree. And unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, too many people wait until like they have a heart attack or worse to actually stop eating junk and focusing on that. But it is, I mean, the food we put in our bodies, it's the fundamental building blocks of who we are on a cellular level. Like that, we are what we eat. I love that phrase because it's just so true. Like the image of, someone walking around in a hot dog costume, eating the ballpark franks. Like, you have one hot dog at a baseball game. I'm not going to hold it against you, but like focusing on diet is so key. And I think that's one point that we really hit it off in our initial conversations. It was like, y'all are so focused on just providing like a solid, nutritious, nutrient-rich diet for the animals. It's not what you typically see in those bagged foods at, PetSmart or wherever. Like, they're not focused on that. They're focused on like providing like the minimal essential nutrients in a cheap kibble form that lasts a long time, and that's profitable. Unfortunately, that's how human food systems also operate. It's not much different. And so you see this epidemic of cancer and diabetes and all these problems in our culture. Well, we're passing that down to our pets through using the same food systems that we unfortunately have in our culture. So I thought that was really cool what you're doing, and that's why I'm passionate about nutrition and supplementing as well, because it can be difficult to get all of your essential vitamins and nutrients and oils and everything that we need on a daily basis to live well.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a mirrored situation that we're going through with what we're experiencing is the same exact thing that our pets are going through. And when you walk down a grocery store aisle, the processed stuff that is in the grocery stores is appalling.
And we just all trusted it for so long. None of us knew we were getting duped until 20 years later, everybody's having all these issues and cancers. Well, it's the same thing with the animals. And now 1 of 2 dogs are getting cancer. And it's, 100% the diets and foods and other things there, but it wasn't happening like that not too long ago. And that goes for humans too. And so it's like, I know once we started making our animals' foods way cleaner and straight to nature, we started doing it for ourselves. And we've lost weight, we've lost inflammation weight, gained muscle, we're more alert, we're sleeping better. Like, the benefits are just endless, and so we always wish we could just scream it at everybody at the top of the mountain, like, please change your diet, all you need to do. But it's harder than what you expect too, because of everything in front of your face when you go to the store and the things that you trusted since a kid. It's like I thought, now I'm going to have like 30 years of crap that I'm having to, detox from, essentially. And then that goes with the animals too. And so they don't have a voice. So that's what we try to do, is try to help be their voice, and help people too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I mean, we resonate, and we have a lot in common with you, that like running a value-based company, it's not easy in this world, in this society that we live in. So what keeps you grounded and focused when it could be so much easier to cut corners and go with the trends?
That's easy, man. It's the feedback I get from our customers. It's the testimonials. I mean, I would have been burned out a long time ago if it wasn't for like the feedback I get from our customers. Like, oh man, we tried everything and nothing was helping my son, and now like he's doing better in school, he's having less meltdowns, he's feeling better. Or, you know, grandma was on pain meds for 40 years and it was damaging her body, and now she's taking CBD and like her pain's gone and she's off the opiates. Like I mean, I could go on and on and on, not only about humans but pets as well, and just how it's changing people's lives. Something as simple as just taking a soft gel or like oil under your tongue every morning. And it's like, I mean, one of the best testimonies I had was there was an autistic child who was nonverbal, and within 2 weeks of taking CBD, she's starting to talk and like express herself verbally. Like it, I mean, I'm not saying everybody's going to have that experience, but that is just incredible to me. You know, the huge difference that it could make, notably from changing one thing and seeing the impact it's making on people's health and their lives. That's what keeps me going from day to day, knowing that we're offering something that's truly helping people.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. And you know, it's hard to find that type of integrity in the world these days. So thank you for doing the way you do. And what type of things are on the horizon for Green Valley Nutrition? Any new projects, formulations, or even like initiatives that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, always. So a couple things that come to mind. I'm launching my first product on Amazon. And if you didn't know this, CBD is a restricted category. You are not allowed to sell CBD on Amazon. Most people don't know that because there are CBD products, like hemp products, all over the place on Amazon. And I mean, it's just crazy. You don't know what you're buying. It's like it says hemp on the label, but there's either no CBD in it at all, or it's just a fluke, or they're mislabeling their product in order to get it on Amazon. So big problems with Amazon and the supplement market in general, fake products, etc. So I always tell people, if you're buying a CBD product on Amazon and you're like, oh, it didn't work for me, it didn't do anything, well, there's probably a reason why it didn't work for you. Yeah. So always go with a vetted brand you can trust. Anyway, my product is actually a hemp heart protein powder. So it's a plant-based protein. Hemp hearts, it's like the hull that surrounds the hemp seed. It's basically pure protein. It's rich in omega-3s and omega-6s, balanced omegas, and it's very high in protein. And so actually, I think it's the only plant-based complete protein that I'm aware of, meaning it contains all of your essential amino acids in the one compound. So it's a single ingredient. It's pulverized ground hemp hearts, and it's like a superfood. So an amazing product, great way to boost your protein intake naturally from a plant-based source. We'll be releasing that on Amazon, I think at the end of this month. So really excited to branch out into new markets and offer something that's still hemp-based, but kind of different from my core product offering.
Congrats.
And then the other, thank you. I love it. We've been eating it every day. Like, we eat it in our oatmeal, and my girls make little protein balls with it, and I put it in our smoothies, and just a really clean, single source organic product. The other thing I've been working on for the past year or so is I've been writing a book, which is like a deep dive into everything we've been talking about. Okay. My story, what we've learned, how lifestyle change can affect your life, dealing with disability, all these things on a very meaningful level. And hopefully my idea is it'll be a good tool to get this information out there to people who need to hear it, and just to tell my story. So I'm really excited to leave that legacy and actually publish my first book. So that's coming out hopefully this summer.
That's awesome, man. Really, really cool
stuff. Definitely share it. I'll definitely promote that.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool. And I mean, if you guys are looking for some type of clean protein, I guarantee that this protein that he's putting out will be clean, because they take it very seriously at Green Valley. So that's really awesome news.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I appreciate it, man. And likewise to you all. I got the thing I was most excited about from your product offerings was the supplement, the supplement, the additive. You basically, it's the food fixer.
Yeah.
You put it on. Let's say I'm not a expert in feeding my dog, but I can add this food fixer to it and give her most of what she needs to have a healthy diet. She seems to love it. And I really appreciate it that, again, there's no preservatives, there's no junk. It's like all whole foods, really cool ingredients. And it smells almost like turmeric to me. It's like got a earthy, spicy smell.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I thought that was really neat and kind of along the same line as what I do.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, we definitely keep it no additives, all from earth and nature, and it's synergetic too, which means all the compounds in there work off of each other and synergy. So yeah, I'm really glad to hear your dog's liking it. And what's your dog's name again?
Ava.
Awesome. Yeah, well, you have to give her a nice little pat on the head for us, because a virtual one,
100%. Yeah. She won't know the difference. She'll appreciate it.
That's awesome, man.
Oh.
Well, finally, this one's from the heart. If someone's listening today and is feeling called to take one step toward their own healing journey, what would you invite them to do next?
Well, it's something that you kind of alluded to earlier. Finding things that make you feel fulfilled and whole. Like for your friend that was playing basketball was an outlet. For me, it's playing drums or riding motorcycles. Things that, like, when I'm behind the throttle or when I'm behind the drum set, there's I can't stress out about anything. Like, I'm not worried about what's happening in the government. I'm not worried about finances. I'm not worried about what that person yelled at me. It's just I'm at peace. And things like that we should be doing every single day. It's something that brings us that fulfillment and that positive energy, and we're a feeling of contribution to the world and others. Those things are so overlooked and understated. No doctor is going to prescribe you a basketball game, but it's something that we should be doing on our own. If that makes you feel well, even for 30 minutes, you should be doing that every day to get that peace and that reprieve. And so, yeah, I've found many things like that in my life that I try to do on a daily basis, hobbies and schools and just little activities that make me feel just like a human, and that's what I would recommend, because everybody's on a different journey. I'm not someone who's going to say, go do a keto diet or go dairy free. Everybody has a different metabolism and a different pathway to healing. But what we do have in common is this: we all need to be contributing to the world and feeling like we're involved and having meaning in our life. And so that's how I believe we achieve that.
No, that's really great information. I mean, it's about being present, right? So it's everybody's stuck in their algorithm when they should be out doing the thing that truly makes them happy. And whether that is, I'm a musician myself, so playing guitar, it's impossible to think about yesterday or the future. It's sitting there strumming, it's so
right.
You're forced to be present in that way. And so when you're truly present, there is no anxiety, there is no depression. So
absolutely.
So that's a really beautiful way of putting it, man. And so yeah, this has been really fun, man. Let everybody know out there where to find you online, or if you have anything coming up that's in the community or anything, let them know.
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way to find me, greenvalleynutrition.com. It's my website. I've got a bunch of information about just my story and pandas, things that are going on our blog. But also the website is a wealth of information. All things holistic wellness, CBD, all that kind of thing. If you have questions about it, there's a FAQ page and a bunch of resources on there. Just go through the product pages and read about it and see if it could be a good fit for your life. There's all different products, so reach out to us if you have questions. There's a contact page on the website. You can call us, email us, get on the chat. We're here to help however we can. My Instagram is Ethan_pandas, and that's if you want the more personable Ethan, I post all kinds of funny stuff about motorcycles and airplanes and my kids and stuff on there. And that's a great way to connect. If you just want to send me a message, say, hey, I saw you on the Pure Positivity podcast. Just wanted to say hi. We'd love to connect with you that way. And it's actually me on the Instagram page. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, guys, this is the cleanest CBD I've ever taken. Green Valley Nutrition is a fantastic company, as he attributed to. They're such a clean sourced company, third-party tested, amazing products. So check them out online. And then we're going to be waiting with bated breath for your book, man. That's going to be really cool.
Cool.
We're excited to hear from you on that. But yeah, man, we'll be in touch. It's been super fun.
Yeah, and also just all about supporting family-run businesses, and you know where it's going. On these big corporations, it gets a little tricky, and so we definitely want to support all the local families that are doing what you're doing, and putting it out there. It's just a lot of hard work to do what you're doing, and so thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, likewise. I'd love to support you guys any way I can. I appreciate everything you said. I will let you know when the book comes out. I'll definitely be sending you all a copy, and hopefully, your friend can resonate with that. Even though he's healed at this point, it's something that still impacts your life, and just having that experience. So perhaps it could be a good resource for them as well. And anyway, thanks a lot for having me on.
Dude, it's been really fun, man. We'll talk with you soon.